So you think you in love with me, but I'm not the girl of your dreams. Cause I've been rocking and dodging the beat of love. Baby, I'm not the one for you. I'm not letting you on cause you know my truth. But I know just what to do for you. Cause when the Jones come down, hey, na 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 na, hey, ooh, na na.
Good evening, and welcome to My Sister Circle. I am your host, Coach D, Dewana, and I am so excited that it is Thursday at 7 p.m. where we always go live on here on Facebook and on YouTube. We are excited, and we are definitely streaming the One TV. Okay, you guys, make sure you download that because it is an amazing, it's almost like Christian Netflix. So it is amazing. You guys can download that. You guys can stream everything. You guys can go back and watch all different shows from different seasons. And it's some other hosts on there that has some incredible shows as well. Charlie even got some movies on there. It is an incredible app. So I want you guys to download that. I'll make sure that information is posted during the show so you guys can make sure that you stream that app, okay? And Charlie, I'm not sure if it's an app or do you go from the web, but we'll figure that out during the show because it is an amazing streaming service. So you guys, I am looking for my co-host. Oh, where you at? Hey, oh.
Hi, happy Thursday.
Hey, girl, how are you?
I'm good. Tired, but good. How you doing?
I am same. So, guys, don't mind me looking over to the side. So my laptop is over here. You guys, remember, we are not in studio, but you guys see how Charlie gets it worked out for us to make it look like we're in studio. I absolutely love me some Charlie, though. Oh, I absolutely love Charlie.
Charlie is killing it. You guys just don't even know how wonderful Charlie is.
You guys don't even know, okay? And I don't know, what do I do here? So, okay. So, I'm going to figure this out in a minute. So, guys, what I want you to do, first thing I want you to do is I want you to guys tag in, like, share it to groups, do all the things that you guys do every single Thursday at 7 p.m. I want you guys to do those things. Tag in at least 5 to 10 people so we can get this topic going. Sis, what's our topic for this week? We are going to do our normal, but I want to hear the topic for this week because it is just, it's one of those.
It is. And I'm not nervous about it. Typically, I get nervous about some things, but I feel like it's going to be a good release for everyone. So our topic is vindictive co-parenting.
Yes. It's a much needed topic, though. It's something much needed to talk about. So you guys, so the first thing we like to do every time we go live here on My Sister Circle, what we do here in My Sister Circle, if you're new to watching us, what we like to do is we like to acknowledge and shine some light on an amazing sister of the week. So what we do is we reach out to people or we share on social media and ask people to send us some people that they would like to nominate for Sister of the Week. So we have an incredible Sister of the Week this week, and her name is Kayla. Kayla was nominated. Oh my gosh. So Kayla, I'm going to read what I have about Kayla Cooper. She's a young lady in the 12th grade. Her heart is pure. She has goals and ambitions. She is a young lady that is a God chaser, a true worshiper. She is what young women that's her age and coming up under her can look up to. God is the thread of her life, and she creates goals and accomplishes them. So, Kayla, we just want to give you a hand clap for being so young and having so much ambition and love for God. And that, how amazing is it that this person that nominated you can say that other women, other young girls your age should follow you. I think that is incredible. So y'all give Kayla a hand clap.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I think she is our youngest Sister of the Week, isn't she?
She is.
So awesome.
Our youngest Sister of the
So
Week.
cool.
And I didn't even think about that, but she is our youngest Sister of the Week. So I'm excited about that. So we have an amazing show for you guys. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys, as we go to a commercial break really quick, because we're going to welcome on our guests. Because we're going to welcome on our guests. Can you hear Charlie? Oh, can you hear Charlie? He fussing at me. Okay. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, guys, real quick, before we welcome on our guests.
Get your perfect body in 2022. Dare to be Bodied is offering laser lipo, lipocavitation, skin tightening, butt and breast lift, vaginal steaming, and so much more. Why don't you dare to be bodied? Call now for your free consultation, 313-434-4404.
All right, welcome back, guys, and thank you for tuning in to My Sister Circle. So before our guests come on, because I'm sure she's not on yet because it's a tad bit early. So I want to ask you, how was yesterday? How was yesterday for you?
Okay. So viewing audience, let me tell you what Coach D did to me, right? So I'm working remotely. Coach D sends me a text message at maybe 10:30 and says, "Hey sis, what are you doing tomorrow? Are you working tomorrow?" I'm like, "Of course, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, right?" Oh, she said, I advised her what I wanted to about, and she said,
Hold on, sis. Hold on, you breaking up a little bit. Okay. So come on, start over.
Okay. Is it better now?
It came back in. You know how we go.
Yeah. So she tells me there's a surprise. She sends me a text message and she says that this is Coach D. I'm talking about y'all, our host. She's like, well, we have an opportunity to interview David Mann. And I'm like, David, I'm looking around in the house by myself. I'm in my room laying down. So I'm looking around like, David Mann. David Mann. I literally started screaming. I was like, I think I sent you back. Stop. Like, what are you talking about? So we're texting each other back and forth, and she's like, we're both trying, like, I think to keep each other calm because we got to figure out what we're going to do. So I was working remotely yesterday. Literally, I had phone calls coming through 2 seconds before he came on live. And I was like, I don't care if somebody's leg is falling off. God forgive me. I'm not getting ready to interrupt this.
Wait.
I don't care. Because I mean, like, it was such a... Listen, tape that leg up, honey. Get some duct tape. Because I was like, I'm like, I don't want to let my sister down. I want to make sure I'm prepared. And I'm like, I don't want to keep coming in and coming out of the live or the feed that we were doing the recording. So I think the thing I was most impressed with is just how nice and how, like, really naturally funny he is. He was so cool.
So I'm gonna give you guys a backstory. I know most of you read my Facebook post, but I'm gonna give you guys a backstory. So listen, at 10 o'clock at night, my phone rings, right? And I'm relaxing, and at 10 o'clock my phone rings, and here's the thing. I wasn't gonna answer. And the reason I wasn't gonna answer because I was sitting and I was watching Chicago Fire with my daughter, and like that's our show. Like we don't no interruptions, no nothing. We just want to watch Chicago Fire. So I was sitting and I was watching that, and I picked up the phone and I looked at it and I let it ring. It surprisingly, it probably rung 4 times, and it still was ringing, and I answered it. And I took a deep breath because I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and answer the phone, because no, it wasn't a deep breath about with who the person was. It was a deep breath of, dang, I'm really interrupting my show. And my daughter is looking at me, and I'm just like, okay. I said, like that, right? So I get the first thing the caller says is, sorry for calling you so late. And I'm just like, okay, this must be emergency at this point because she never calls this late, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. The next thing is, do you want to interview David Mann? And I'm holding the phone and I'm like, I said, absolutely. So I'm holding my composure. Absolutely. Okay. It was like this, but the catch is, there's a catch. There's a catch. I'm like, okay, what's the catch? It has to be done tomorrow by 1. I'm like, okay. Right when she said that, Charlie had just sent me the Zoom link for the host prayer. And so I knew what he was getting ready to do. I said, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like, oh, well, I'm just going to have to interrupt prayer. I sent him a message like, hey, we need to get on this ASAP. I need to know what you can do. Can you meet me? Can we do this? And that's it. I logged into prayer. And as I'm on the prayer call, I'm looking at him. I'm texting him while we in prayer. Y'all, listen, I'm not a heathen. But I'm texting him while we're in prayer, looking at him please read the message. And he in full-blown prayer. He's in full-blown praying for the host. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Lord, let him read it now, Lord. Because what she told me, what she told me on the call is, I said, can you give me 30 minutes? We just went into prayer. So can you give me 30 minutes? The answer. So you guys know that we've had celebrities on our show before. And when you're dealing with them and you're dealing with their team, it's a boom, boom, boom. You got to move fast before the next person is in line to pick that interview up. So there is no, can I have an hour? It's on to the next. And it was like, I said, can I have 30 minutes? She said, can you do it in less? I said, I'll make it happen. Listen, at this point, if Charlie didn't text me back and say, yeah, I can do it, I was just going to say yeah for him. And we was going to work it out.
Right.
Any means
Charlie
necessary.
can do it.
Any means necessary. But listen, at that moment, honestly, this was all the hands of God. Is our guest on yet? Okay. So this was all the move of God, because he ended up at that last like 15-minute mark, he ended up passing the prayer over to the next prayer leader. So then he was able to answer my question, and I instantly got off, and I made the connection instantly to the team, like instantly, and it was an instant thing, right? And so right after that, so I'm not going to tell you guys the date we're going to air the show just yet, but so right after that, so I sent the after that, me and Charlie began to talk, and I was like, okay. Charlie said, so when is the show? Because I got to tell y'all the rest of the testimony, because you got to see how strategic God is. Because I said, all right, well, when is the rest? When Charlie said, when is the show going to air after we do the interview? So I'm like, okay, well, let me talk to his team. So I get in touch with his team, and it's amazing that you can even have that connection and communication. So I even thank God that I'm able to have connection, with the members of his team, members of different celebrities' team, because we have a celebrity coming on next week. And listen, it's her and I just connected on Facebook and are Facebook friends now. I'm just amazed, okay, at the whole thing. So we have a show coming where we're going to have men for the first time. Like, not first time. We've had 2 men on the show, but we are going to have men that are guest panelists talking about an important topic, because this series today is Vindictive Co-Parenting. We're going to start a series on co-parenting. And so these men are coming on, and the day that they're coming on is the day that they want their show aired for David Mann. And I just was like, how strategic is God to have that? A man, David Mann, on the show the same day we have a man panelist on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm y'all might think those things are little things, but that's not little. Those aren't
Mm-hmm.
coincidences. That's not little stuff. This is like this is how God works with us, and these are the things that you guys gotta pay attention to, because when God begins to move strategically and begins to put each piece together, you better believe there's something big that He's getting ready to put together. Think about when they put the Ambassador Bridge together; it was piece by piece by piece. And now this is a large, so this is big. Okay, so I am grateful. I don't take listen. I don't take for granted any pieces strategically that He puts together for us.
Say that. Yeah.
So, all right. So is our guest on? Perfect. Perfect. All right. So our guest this week, our women in business guest this week is Veronica Powell. She is a coach, a financial coach, and she is going to come on and talk to us about generational wealth and all kind of financial literacy things. So I want you guys to make sure that you guys have your notebooks. I put this on the post earlier. Have your notebooks, have your pens, because anytime that somebody is talking any type of financial literacy, we need to take notes. Okay, we need to incorporate that into our everyday life. We need to make sure that our children know about financial literacy. So I want you guys to make sure that you guys are writing these things down, because these things are steps for real, steps to some
Mm-hmm.
people getting out of debt, and these are steps to building generational wealth. So we want to make sure that we have all the nuggets. I got my pen right here because I'm serious about this. So I want you guys to go ahead and we can welcome on Coach Veronica. Hello, 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 hello. How are
Hi.
you?
I am awesome. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can
Mm-hmm.
hear you great. We can hear you
Hey,
great.
okay. Okay, that's
How are
awesome.
you?
I am awesome. I'm lovely. I'm blessed. I am so glad to be here this evening with you all. You could have had any other guests on at this time, but it's me, so I'm so grateful for that.
Yes, I'm excited that you wanted to come on and talk about financial literacy. It's such an important topic, especially with our community, especially with our youth. It's such an important topic because it's not talked about enough. So anytime I see financial literacy coach, and generational wealth coaches, things like that, I'm actually intrigued of the knowledge that you have, because each financial coach has some different knowledge to offer us. So I'm always very intrigued and open to the knowledge that you guys have. So welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am Veronica Powell. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed in Atlanta for about 15 years, but I'm back in Milwaukee now. I am a financial coach. I'm also an accountant. Um, but I like to teach on the importance of financial literacy. And I share with people that, especially financial literacy in my community, but I share with people that financial literacy is the foundation of your relationship with money. And it's a
Mm.
lifelong journey, because you're going to make some mistakes, but it's a lifelong journey of learning. But I also say that the first step is believing that you are worthy of building generational wealth, believe that you are worthy of financial independence. And once you have that steps, then now it's time to put in the work so that you can begin the process to become wealthy and build financial freedom.
That's awesome. That's How long have you been a financial coach?
I've been a financial coach for 2 years. So this month, thank you, God. This month
Mm-hmm.
makes
That's
two
amazing.
years that I started my the name of my financial coaching business is Empowering Wealth Financial Coaching. And I like to call
Ooh.
myself Mrs. Empowering Wealth. I like to call myself. But I've been an accountant over 12, 13 years, but the financial coaching piece, I've been had Empowering Wealth Financial Coaching for 2 years now.
Mm.
But
So
Empowering
even
Wealth Financial Coaching, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, but Empowering Wealth Financial Coaching, even though I've been a financial coach for 2 years, it was birthed out of like 11 to 12 years of really intense hands-on life experiences.
That's what I was going to ask you. That was actually my next question. So I was going to ask you. So do you think this was a birthing for this? Like this at this time, the 12 years of knowledge that you gained from being an accountant, was it just to prepare you for the birthing of Miss Empowerment Wealth?
I would say, because I love being an accountant. I love
Mm-hmm.
numbers. I have a passion for numbers, but more than a passion for numbers, I have a passion for humanity. I have a passion
Mm-hmm.
for people. So the financial coaching piece came because of I seen the experience that I went through, how it helped me. And it was just one situation. And I'll go back. It was my husband. It was one situation with my husband that changed my mindset. And that was in 2012. Um, and I was driving, this is just to go real quick. I was driving a BMW, and honey, the BMW was paid for, but I could not afford the upkeep of it. And I
Mm.
was dating my husband, and oil was just leaking everywhere. And he came to me and he said, I think you should sell that car because you can't afford the upkeep of it. And I think you need to get you kind of a little hoopty and get your finances together. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna give me a Lexus. But but then I said, you know what, Lord just said, you know what, it won't hurt to try. So I sold that BMW. Still have money from the BMW in my account now as as a little emergency fund. But I sold that. I bought me a 2000 Camry. And since that day in 2012, I have not had a note. And I have an illustration later that I'll show you all that I think sometimes we can take a car note and we have these expensive cars, but we're allowing car notes to rob us of our generational wealth. That
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
one decision back in 2012 that catapulted me to where I'm at today. That's why I always like to teach it starts in the mind. And in financial literacy, yes, it's about education and learning, but it's more too of a behavioral. Um, is our changing our behavior. It has a lot to do with improving our finances more than, I can learn what a stock is. I can learn what a bond is. I can learn this. You can learn all that, but until you change your mind and your behavior, then you won't shift and improve your
Come on.
finances.
That's it. That's it right there. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, we had some questions. I sent you over some interview questions, but after reading,
Yes.
I told you after reading your slides and your presentation, I don't even want to ask you the interview questions. I just want you to go over those because we have such a short window of interviewing time. I want you to
Yes.
go over those because I read over those and I think that they are so important for you to get all of that out. So, Charlie, can you
Sure.
put up? Are you ready to you okay with giving that right now?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
thought you said.
perfect. Charlie, if you're ready, she's ready. Yep, it's
It
5
is.
pages. Okay, perfect. All right, Coach Powell, you can start. Coach Veronica.
Okay. So, page one is just me introducing myself, so we can skip through that. Okay. So, page one, I already introduced myself. So, hey y'all, good, right there. So we can go to slide two, um, or just go to the next. I'll flow with you. The topics, yes. So I teach a class, a workshop, I should say. In the workshop, is how to build generational wealth and retire early. So in that class, I really just go over the foundation of building generational wealth. And this is just items that to me are important. So I can just, just go through some of these here. Number one is understanding your financial number. And what a financial number is, I look at it as what is your free number. Your I can wake up tomorrow and if I look at my job, I can tell them I don't have to come in today. Not if I don't want to come in today. So it's what magic number would it take for you to have that freedom of not going to, not having to go to work? And the way you find that number is number one is seeing what your expenses are. Because once you know what your expenses will be once you want to reach financial freedom or you want to retire. Once you understand what your expenses are, then that'll assist you in calculating. Then if these are my expenses, I want to at 50, I want to have the option of not working again. And that a life expectancy, I might think I might live to 85. So how much money do I need from if I want to retire at 50 or I want to reach this financial freedom at 50? So from 35 years, from 50 to 85, if we say for 35 years, how much money would I need? So that's number one, calculating your net worth. I love to say, as a culture, if I ask someone what's their credit score, boom, I know my credit score. My credit score is 600. My credit score is 700. My credit score is 800. But if I ask you what's your net worth, you don't know your net worth. And I want to change that because we should know our net worth. And our net worth is all of our assets minus our liabilities. That's our net worth. So that's one thing is I challenge you to really sit down and calculate your net worth. You should do that on an annual basis once a year. Also, the next is having a budget. I like a spending plan budget. I like to say that a budget, we shouldn't think about it as being restrictive. We should budget every month. It was a survey done on the average millionaires. The average millionaire said 93% of millionaires budget. And not only do they budget, let me back up. Not only do they budget, but 93% of them stick to that budget. And I like to say that a budget basically tells your money where to go instead of at the end of the month, you're wondering where your money went. You need to be in control and tell every dollar you need to go here, you need to go here, and you need to go there. So that's a budgeting, millionaire's budget. Government's budget. We have to have a budget. Then you have to know where's your income coming from. You have a 9 to 5. You're an entrepreneur. Passive income is very important. Do you have come from real estate or just other passive incomes that you can have? So think about other ways that you can have income. I like to say before you retire or you're going to reach that financial freedom number, you should have a plan to have all your debt paid off. And in the class that I teach, we go over your debt payoff date. Like we all should know your debt payoff date. Like what is the date that you would be debt free? You should know that date and consistently seek for that date. And once you consciously know it and you're writing it down, then you have something to achieve for. Then I think estate planning is important. We don't talk a lot about estate planning, and we think you got to have all this money for estate planning. When I say estate planning, I'm talking about wills, I'm talking about trust. We need to have those set up. And like I said, you don't have to have a lot of money. Perfect example. Our two daughters are 6 and 23, right? And having a trust, like I said, you don't have to have millions of dollars, but if something, my husband and I, we travel a lot. We're together a lot. So if something was to happen to us, our daughters, they not ready for it. One time, they still got some, even though their mom a financial coach, they still got a little learning to do. So I have this trust set up so I can just say, okay, this is what my life insurance policy is or whatever. This is how much in assets I have in retirement. They're 23, they 16. Just give them this amount at this time. When they get this age, give them that much. But that's what a trust can do. It just basically kind of dictates who's going, not only who's going to get it, but how and when they're going to get it. But estate planning is perfect. I mean, is needed, and wills are needed, especially if you have minor children. A will is especially important if you have a minor child, because a will would dictate, who's is going to be that guardian of that minor child if you're not gone. So even if you don't have a dime, but you have a minor child and you want to make sure that your minor child is going to be taken care of as far as who's going to take care of them, a will is important. Having insurances, having life insurance, having um, long-term care insurance is important, and understanding your investment options and setting realistic goals. The last is setting realistic goals. I say setting goals is very, very important. Not only setting goals, you write your goals down to make them realistic. But I do have one challenge for everyone that is listening to my Sister Circles podcast right now.
Oh, I love
My
this. I
challenge
love challenges.
that my challenge for all of you related to realistic goals, I challenge you to do this today. Think about, even right now, one financial goal that you want to achieve in the next 30 days. Think about it. After you think about it, go right now, get your calendar out, and set you an event and put it as financial wellness check-in. And whatever, so if that goal is, you know what, I'm not contributing to my retirement, I want to contribute $50, or I want to pay this amount more towards debt. Whatever that goal is for the next 30, by today is the February 10th. So March 10th, mark your calendar, put your event in there, and have your goal, and you achieve it. And then after that give you a 6 month, do the same thing, give you a year in the 30 days. But the simplest thing you can do is set a goal that you can achieve financially in 30 days, and a reminder for that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So you want us to go to the next slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So the next slide is, am I waiting for him? Okay, so so the next slide is related to, do we have the slide up? I just want to make sure. I don't need it.
Charlie.
I don't want to talk. Oh, okay. Okay, I just didn't want to talk before they have it up. But the next slide is should be the and if you go to investor.gov, it should be it's a calculator. It's a financial calculator on investor.gov. That's an awesome website. If you want to go to investor.gov, they have a lot of information on there, and it's a government website. But this is just an illustration of when I was telling you how sometimes we are allowing a car note to rob us of building our generational wealth. So with this calculator, what I did was, the average car note in America, I think it's like, the last time I read, it was about $536, but I rounded up. I said $550. What if we took $550 and to start off with, in investing, whether it's in our retirement account, but we're thinking about, okay, we're investing it into the stock market, or I could say in a retirement account. You took that $550, because that's your car note money now, because we can drive cars that are paid for. Then you say, for 5 years, which I say, okay, that's, sometimes we get car note for 5 years. I'm going to, instead of paying this car note for 5 years, I'm going to pay $550 towards my retirement or towards my financial freedom number. Then step 3 is your interest, the return on your interest rate. The average interest rate right now for the last 30 years, return on your investment. So if you're investing, you have an investment, what's your return rate? It's about 8 to 10% for the last 30 years. So I went with 10. So we're investing $550 for 5 years with a return rate of 10%. And then our interest, it's compounding annually. And if we go to the next slide, I'll show you all, instead of having your car note, this is what you can have in your account in the 5 years versus having your car note. We got $41,000 in 5 years.
Wow.
But we want to drive around, let me back up. Now, I love nice things, but it's about priorities. We're driving around in all these expensive cars, but we have zero in our retirement. We have less than 10,000 in our retirement, and we're in our late 30s, and we're in our 40s and our 50s, but we're driving around in these expensive cars. And you can take that same amount of money and you can invest it, and you can let compound interest work for you, and then that's the result that you get. And that's only 5 years.
Wow.
And I know I shot a lot at you all.
That's okay.
And I
That
think
is
that's the
okay.
last of the slides. So if you all have any, that's I think that's the last of the slides there. And I know I shot a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. This is also, thank you. Just how you can stay in contact with me. All my social media handles are Mrs. Empowering Wealth. So you can find me on social media there. We have my email address, Veronica at empoweringwealthcoaching.com. Look, my website is there as well. And then also, I have my apparel line here. And this was just birthed out of, like I said, I was a financial coach. I had no desire to have an apparel line, but like all the slogans that I have, it was birthed out of me because of the importance, I think, of financial literacy. And I'm like, it should be cool. It should be trendy and cool to walk around with different financial slogans and
I
everything.
agree.
So
Mm-hmm.
I have one comment for you, and I know other people probably have comments, but I want to ask this one before we let you off. I have a comment that says, I have a 17-year-old that says she's getting a car note at 18. I told her that's not a good idea to do. Do you think it's a good idea? 18 years old. She needs to hear this.
what is the question? Is an 18-year-old ready
At
to hear this?
18-year-old, should she get a car note at 18 years old?
Oh no! But guess what? She 18. I don't know if she no, but she's 18. I don't know if she still stays in the same house. Now that's the difference too. If you're 18 but you still in my same house, you under my rules, you know. But to give you an example, I understand. I have a 23-year-old. Remember I told you I bought that Camry? I didn't give it anything, but I think for like $1,000 or so, my daughter at the time, she was, I think, 19 or 20. So so she got the car, and it was a good car. And then out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
she contacts me, Mama, I brought me. She had went and got a new car, and I'm like, but the car I gave you a few years ago, it was a good car. So only thing, and so me, even as a financial coach, I get frustrated because my daughter's 23, and I'm like, I do this all day long, and my own child not listening to me. But I will say I taught a class last weekend, and I'm so grateful she attended the class. But this is what I
Oh,
would do.
that's
The
awesome.
solution I would do, she did, and I was so happy. But you know what? It helped. It helped for her because I've been teaching this to her, but it was other adults in class. We're talking about 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so for her to see me teaching in front of them and to see their reaction, that helped her. But my solution would be this. Number one, like I would want to know if does she need a car, like to get to work. Are you in a position where you can save enough? Because you can buy a good little used car for an 18-year-old for like $3,000. That's how much my Camry was, $2,800, and I was 30 years old driving that. So it's like, can you? This is tax season. I don't know people's financial situation, but are you in a situation where you can save at least $500 for about 5 or 6 months, and then get a used car or anything like that? But I would love, look, with 18, honey, I would love to speak to her, because I'm like, please don't do it.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do? Oh, do you have anything for Coach Powell before we let her go?
No, I was just taking in all the information and listening and gonna go to your website and look around. So no questions I can think of. Thank you.
So what I would like you to do, Coach Veronica, is I would like for you to come back for a full show one day, maybe next month or even April, whatever your schedule looks like. And if we could do something where I'll actually talk to you one-on-one privately, so I can, because I don't want to put you on the spot, but because I know people have a lot of questions. If you can put on our page when your classes are, and how people can get in your class, even how they can pay for a class to get in and things like that. If you do virtual, if you could put those things on our Facebook page, and I'm gonna actually put the slides, if that's okay, on the Facebook page as
Yes,
well,
that's
so that we
fine.
can
That's
stay in
fine.
contact with you. We thank you for being our guest today. We thank you for this. These are some gems. I tell you guys all the time, when you got people on here that they know their stuff, you got to make sure that you write it down, take it all in. That's what me and O do. We take it all in. So we appreciate you coming out and sharing that knowledge with us, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you all for having me. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.
You too.
No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, there is a force that unites us all. Join the movement and let your lips do the talking with Aide Cosmetics, available on aidecosmetics.com.
And we are back. We are back. So you guys know what time it is. It is time to talk about this amazing topic, this much needed topic that we have ready for you guys. We are going to try and cover everything, but again, this is a series, so if we don't get everything covered, we will pick back up with this series when we have our men come on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this one with just me and O. Then we're gonna have the men come on, and then we are gonna have some ladies come on for a panel as well. Listen, I had to choose not to do it where we mix the men and the women together on this topic because it is very sensitive, and we, arguing and all of that on show and all of that. I'm this ain't Love and Hip Hop, so I can't do it. You got to use wisdom with some stuff. So,
Yeah.
So sis, you want to go ahead and start this one off?
Yes, we can. So, vindictive co-parenting. I think in a lot of ways, this is like a hard-hitting topic again, because there are a lot more divorces, unfortunately, and breakdowns in relationships and communication. And of course, at the hub of that, a lot of us have children. So in reading up about this, and you pay attention to social media and like your friends and family and things that they've gone through, and different sides of different situations, it makes you wonder why parents or ex couples who have children together, why one party or maybe even both parties decide to take part in this, constantly trying to agitate one another and provoke one another. So I think it's really important to discuss it and figure out a better way to communicate with one another, to remember that the bulk of the major responsibility is to make sure that your children grow up in a healthy environment, and that you all are working cohesively as a team to not emotionally or mentally scar your children in the process of the two of you having difficulties with each other.
Yes, I think it is very important. When I think of vindictive co-parenting, it bothers me a lot, because and this is not just a woman being vindictive to a man, but it's both a man being vindictive to a woman as well. But it happens more often in women that they're being vindictive to the father, and it upsets me. It angers me, because you affect the child or the children way more than anything for your own ego, for your own self gain, and things like that. So I'm really bothered by the behavior of being vindictive in co-parenting, because as co-parents, you want to make it easy. First of all, if you guys aren't together or if you were never together, you want to make the transition of that even easy on your children anyway, because children see things. Children see that their parents aren't together. Children see other parents together and then see that their parents aren't together. So they deal with enough on their own to have a vindictive, and it doesn't matter what age your child is at, because it affects your child. You know, when you have an upbringing of anger, or an upbringing where your parents are vindictive to one another, it affects the child. No matter if you think right now at the point that you be like, no, I'm doing this for my child's, best interest, you're not. It's for your own self-gain, for your own self-pleasure, to deal with your own bitterness that you're dealing with. And it's an ugly thing. It's the behavior of that, being vindictive to the father, being vindictive to the mother, doing things that are just, it's honestly, it's evil. Because what you do is you create a space that a lot of times with men, because I'm gonna talk about how I see women do men when it comes to co-parenting. A lot of times men, I was listening to the podcast yesterday, Sip with Tea. So shout out to Sip with Tea podcast, because I was listening to her podcast the other day, and then I was listening to on Tuesday Uncomfortable Conversations podcast, and it was all on the same alignment of the topics that we're dealing with now. And none of us knew that we were going to talk about this, but that's how necessary it is right now, because just looking at that, and you create a space where now men don't want to put in the work to try to be with their children, because the woman is so vindictive.
Right.
So now the woman is doing things to cause so much agony towards the man, the father, and making it so difficult to be a father. Now, I'm not saying that a father shouldn't fight for the benefits of being with his children. Not saying that at all. I'm saying women that are vindictive, because women being vindictive is much more worse than a man being vindictive.
It is. I think you have to, for me, with women, I think the most important thing for us to do is to be honest with ourselves and try to figure out where that hatred and that bitterness comes from. So it all comes from a root cause, right? So in my mind, I think of a woman, and I hate to just start, for me, we want to make sure that women are not offended, but let's just be real with ourselves. A lot of us as women start off being vindictive because it's a learned behavior that we saw from our mothers or our grandmothers who had children. They struggled with an issue with our fathers and our grandfathers. Maybe their relationship lapsed and didn't work. And then you have negative older relatives in our family that, whisper in your ear and say things like, well, I wouldn't let him see the kids until such and such. And so you have to figure out what the root cause is. And then once you figure out what that root cause is, you have to figure out who is around you that's influencing you to act this way. And then once you really get down to it, you have to understand that what they dealt with as individuals in their relationship is not what you have to deal with in your relationship. You have to figure out what works for you. And allowing outside forces to influence you to behave a certain way. My mind is, if the people around me encourage me to act like a complete buffoon with my ex-husband, that's going to be damaging to my children. It's embarrassing to myself, and you're just not going to get Oriana to act like a fool. I'm sorry. And then secondly, it's like, how does that affect your children? Because really, in hindsight, it's not about us as individuals. If our relationship didn't work out and we broke up, or we got divorced, or we decided to go our separate ways, the issues that we have with each other as individuals has absolutely no bearing on our children. Those are personal adult issues. Your children are a separate entity. So the first thing you have to do is learn how to separate the two things from themselves. Absolutely. My relationship with my boyfriend is my thing, but the relationship with our children is two separate things. And that's why there are so many children that feel misplaced and feel torn and tugged between their two parents because they can't cohesively work together and act like adults because the two of us are coming together, acting immature, and vocalizing our issues through our children instead of talking to each other as adults, which brings into the definition that I shared with you, malicious parent syndrome. Malicious parent syndrome is where either parent or maybe both parent seeks to punish the other by talking poorly about them around the children or to family members. But I think the most disturbing part is that you would sit in front of your children and talk about their mother or their father. And as women and as men, we have to realize, like, you chose to have an intimate relationship with these people, whether you were married or not, whether their behavior changed or not. We're not gonna talk about red flags because that's a whole other topic, but we have to remember we chose this individual to have children with. And in choosing them and procreating and bringing children forth, you need to be mindful about what you say in front of your children to their father, about their mother, whatever it is. It doesn't shine a bad light on the parent that you're talking about. It shines a bad light on you.
And that's a good point that you brought up, because even I think it's important that people have to understand that you can be a poor piss person in a relationship, a poor piss spouse, a poor piss mate, but that does not mean that you'll be a poor piss mother or father. And that's the part that people have to separate. Okay, he was pitiful to me as a husband or as a boyfriend, but he's a great father. And that's the part that people don't like to acknowledge. Oh, they are a great father. Now I can't, but what happens is that bitterness and that jealousy sets in. And when that bitterness and jealousy sets in, you a total different person. You do anything, because at that point you can move on, but you have a problem with how they move on in happiness. So you're going to make sure that you create every type of scenario to make sure that they're a bad mother or father, when indeed they're a great mother, they're great fathers, but they were just not a good person in a relationship with you. And so you hold that over their head because you're angry, because you're hurt. So what do hurt people do? They hurt other people. So they don't care who you are. They're going to hurt other people because they're hurt. So like you said, you got to get to the root of it. You do, because then you become controlling. You control. And I'll speak for mothers. Mothers like to control every single aspect of when they're dealing with bitterness. I'm not going to say every mother, because every mother don't. Some mothers want the father to step up and be in control and take advantage of the fact that it doesn't matter that we're apart. I want you to equally be my helpmate far as the father. So, or equally be the helpmate far as the mother. So some people are like that. But when you're dealing with people that are bitter, that have jealousy, that have deep-rooted issues against that person, they can't see beyond that bitterness. They can't see beyond that hate towards that person. And so what they do is they bring on so many things, so much hurt, so much anger. They project that onto their children. They project that onto the other parent. So they become vindictive, because when you project onto other people your feelings, what pours out? That anger is going to pour out. So the control, those control issues where you want to control what this father do or what this other parent do on their time.
Yeah.
Why can't what's wrong with it being equal? And why do you want to take control? Now, we're not talking about the other parent that is doing a pitiful job. We're not talking about the other parent that's going to put their child in danger. We're not talking about the other parent that's a drug dealer that you're being protective of your child. No, we're talking about a solid co-parent that is capable of doing the same things you do, but you want to be in control of every aspect just because you can, just because you think that if you control it, then you have control over them.
Yeah.
And that's
disgusting. What it is it's not being honest with yourself about where you are emotionally. If you can be mature enough to say that, it didn't work, but it's hard to sever a relationship, especially when you had hopes that your family would last and children are a product of that. But I think the most important thing is to take a step back and to identify with what you're feeling. Even if the other person won't hear you, it's perfectly acceptable to say to yourself, even if you never utter the words out loud, if you say, I am still in love with this person, or I still wish that the relationship would work, if you could unpack that a little more, you would realize that a lot of your control, a lot of your bitterness, a lot of your ugliness and your hate stems from the love that you still have for the person, even though they did what they did or it didn't work out. But if you could just be realistic with yourself and deal with yourself, that's why I say, when a lot of women, myself, I'll use an example. I went to therapy. You know what I mean? I think therapy is a beautiful tool to help you realize where the anger and the angst and the hatefulness is coming from. It's not going to benefit you. You're not going to have a healthy relationship. And the overall most important thing is to raise your children in a healthy environment. We as mothers, and I'm guilty of it, we want to control, like you said, every aspect. But once you step back and you say, like, look, I'm a woman, these are boys, or this is a daughter. The daughter needs the mom. The boys unequivocally need their dad. You cannot cultivate a relationship between little boys and their fathers. It's their dad's job to step in and to make sure that he is teaching them, educating them, spending time with them, talking to them. We're not women. We're not men. We don't know what it is to be a man. We'll never know. We may think we have an idea what it is to be a man, but ladies, we do not know what it is to be a man. Moreover, we don't know what it is to be a Black man. And if you have a father, who is willing to spend time with their child, it may not be what you want it to be. The time may not be. It may not ever be what you want it to be. They may not ever take them to the places you want to take them to. They may not ever teach them the things that you want them to teach. But ladies, relinquish the control. Let God do the work. Okay? Let God do the work in that relationship. It's not our job to control every single facet of our children. You didn't make the kid by yourself. You can't control everything by yourself. If the father wants to be a part and wants to teach them things, allow him to do things on his own merit. We're different. Men and women are built different. We educate differently. We feel things differently. You have to respect that. And I think it's pitiful on a woman's part to withhold visitation or to withhold a relationship from your child simply based on the crumbling of your relationship with their father.
Absolutely.
It's just ugly.
It's disgusting.
It's unnecessary. And it just really... it makes you look foolish. It makes you look foolish, like you have a lot of unresolved issues and trauma, and it paints an ugly picture for you and it weighs at you when you really could do the work to make it a better situation.
And it causes unnecessary trauma to your children because they deal with that. You don't have to deal with that when them kids get older and to get of age when they're 5 and 6 years old and they're missing their mother or they're missing their father. You don't have to deal with that. They deal with that. So you create unnecessary trauma for children, and then you create childhood trauma for adults. Okay.
Yes.
That now they got to spend thousands of dollars to get therapy on. It's just not right because of something that you felt. So because of something that you projected onto your child, now you create this long bill for them, this something that they may pour into their wife or to their husband, something that they may pour into their children, all because of something you did. See, this thing is bigger than us. This thing goes way deeper than us. This thing is generational. So which means you can't continue to have the same behavior and think that this behavior won't pour over into their adulthood. And that's just not right. It's not cool. It's not cool. And I just want to make sure that we really, you guys understand that we are not just talking about women. We are talking about bitter dads as well. This goes both ways. But because I see every day bitter women and vindictive co-parenting when it comes to women. I don't see it every day with men, but I see it daily with women. And it could be that you're hurt. It could be that this man has done something wrong to you. But like O said, like we both said, you have to understand that it is a separate entity. He was a pitiful man. He husband or boyfriend to you. But that does not mean you can label him as a pitiful father, because that's not the case always.
Absolutely.
So some of the things, because it is 8:01, some of the things that I want you guys that are dealing with things when it comes to vindictive or manipulative co-parenting, I want you guys to make sure that you set some things that we wrote down. Set set emotional boundaries. Let go of what you can't control. Use non-combative language. That's so important. You have to make sure that you are not using, and unfortunately, sometimes people create situations for themselves. So co-parents sometimes create situations for themselves. So sometimes you have to watch what you say so that it cannot be a trigger to that co-parent, okay? Because sometimes we have messed up so bad, some things can be triggering to that parent, and then that other parent is just like, okay, I'm over it. So you have to be accountable for that. So stick to your commitments. When you say, I'm gonna go pick up my child, I'll be there to pick up my child, I'll buy my child some gym shoes, I'll pay for my child's ballet, I'll make sure I make the girls buy the Girl Scout cookies for my child. You have to stick to your commitment when it comes to a manipulative and a vindictive parent, because if you don't, they're gonna hold that over your head, and they're gonna say to you, you a bum, you ain't squat, I knew you wasn't gonna do it. So stick to your commitments. Know their triggers. You got to know what their triggers are. That goes back to using the triggering words. You have to know what their triggers are. You dealt with that person, you know what their triggers are. You know how to not be kind enough, and just because sometimes we have to step out of our own way and say, well, you know what, I got to do this just so that I can spend time with my child. That's all right. Do what you got to do. Okay.
You jump through hoops for your baby. Yep.
You have to. You have to. Avoid direct contact with the uncooperative co-parent. Okay. If you can avoid direct contact with that parent that's not cooperating, you have to avoid contact. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes you have to have a mediator. Be okay with that. Don't be talking about this don't make no sense, or showing up at their house and calling their phone and say, this don't make no sense. We the parents. Sometimes it's like that. And you got to be okay with that, because again, sometimes situations are created, okay, that you could have avoided. So you got to do that too. Keep a record. Men, I'm going to say this to y'all. Keep a record. Because, see, y'all think it's all fun and games until you got to go to that court and you ain't got all your paperwork and you ain't got all your records. See, men are used to women doing for them. So I'm not trying to put y'all down. I'm just saying, keep a record, men, when you're dealing with that. You better keep a record of the pair of Pumas you bought. Keep a record
and
of
be
the
invested.
night at your house.
Yeah, be invested like a woman would be. Yeah, absolutely. Be invested. You know, the same effort. If you know that the mother likes things a certain way, take the same initiative. You know what I mean? It's not just the mom. You are the dad too. You are a viable, living, breathing parent. So if she takes the effort to do things, you go just as hard as she would. You make sure that you follow through. You make sure you communicate. You make sure that these are just things you could do to decrease the drama. And that's what it's about.
That's it.
Decreasing the drama. Yeah.
So when she say that, decrease the drama. That means ignore what you can. If you can ignore it, I said on Sip with Tea yesterday, and I think I said it on Uncomfortable Conversations podcast as well. Listen, you have to ignore what you can. If there is a time where you got to protect your own peace, honey, you better protect your peace. Because let me tell you something, your mental health is important as a mother, your mental health is important as a father. So if that co-parent is affecting your mental health, you got to take other steps. Because you can't allow your mental health, your mental stability to be damaged. Because you're not going to be no good to your child. So ignore what you can. Keep communication channels open. Be collaborative in decisions. Okay. Like O just said, other parents, co-parent is it's co-parent. It is together. So you make decisions as well. You don't allow it to just be. Okay. Even if that decision is not accepted, I don't care if you got to send a text. When it's time for your child to go to high school, you send a text. Hey, what high school you thinking about sending little Jimmy to? Okay. What high school you think? Well, I think this is a good school. Be involved. Because even if they don't take your advice, you planted the seed, you have to be involved, because then that's your record. That's when you go take to the courts. I'm trying to be involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotta
Look
have
at
it in
your own
paper, black and
behaviors.
white.
Absolutely. Look at your own behaviors that may impact the situation. We already touched on that. Sometimes it's something that you created. So you got to be accountable. Make sure your children are protected from anger and fighting. I'm not even going to touch on that. It's self-explanatory. You guys, just fighting and being angry in front of your kids is just not okay. It's not okay. And then seek meditation or parenting coordination before going into attack mode. Okay. O can give y'all some really good pointers on that last one. Seek meditation or parenting coordination before going into attack mode. And the reason I say O can give it to you, not because she's co-parenting, but because she's works in mental health, and that's a mental health one.
It's important to, we'll touch on it real quick. I think before you even, we'll use the exchange of getting kids. So say it's a Friday night and it's time for you to drop Bob back off to his mom, Sue. Before you make that exchange, mentally prepare yourself for the transaction that's getting ready to happen, because it is a transaction. You're delivering your child back to the mother or vice versa. Take a minute, whatever. Don't go into it with an attitude. Our body language projects everything. And before you know it, your tone can change. So take a deep breath before you make this transaction. Get yourself in alignment. Say a prayer. Meditate. Pull yourself together and practice talking to people in kindness. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the hugest thing. Women, we want some of us, we want a reason to pop off. Oh, he was talking real hard. No, good brother. No, good sister. You don't have to respond with so much robust. You can pull that back a little bit. You don't talk to people at work like that, do you? So if you can't talk to people at work with all that, get up and go. You can pull back and respect the mother of your children, the father of your children, and talk to them with love and kindness. So if you feel like you've got to attack, it's time to go to therapy and to work out those unresolved issues.
I totally agree. All right, well, guys, that is the end of our show. I think this show was amazing. Very informative. It was a lot of things, a lot of good pointers that was touched on. This series will continue on co-parenting, because we definitely want to see this year of 2022. I want to see childhood trauma, okay, be annihilated. I want it to be alienated. I want it to be executed. I want it to be taken away. I just want it to be broken out of our community, because it is so much trauma that's created by parents, childhood trauma that's created by parents. And I want it to be ceased, because it causes too much trauma in adulthood, and then it pours over into too many people's lives. And when you can be somebody that creates a big old monster. Okay. Yeah. There's people out here that has turned their kids into mass murderers. Real life. That's real. That has turned their children into serial rapists. That has turned their children into psychos. I'm real serious, because they can't handle the emotional damage that was done to them as children. And that's just not okay. And it's not okay for women to destroy a man that's trying to be a father to his children, to his child. And it is not okay for a man to destroy a woman who is trying to be a great mother to her children. It's not okay. So we got to do better. We got to do better. So this series will continue until, hey, we going to get it all out on the table. So, all right, guys, I want you guys to make sure that you go on Detroit Choice Awards, and I want you to vote for My Sister Circle. I want you guys to vote so many times that you see us at the Detroit Choice Awards, me, O, and me. And if we could bring Charlie in as well, we going to
Charlie gotta come
with us as well. Charlie got to be there. So we want you guys to see us at the Detroit Choice Awards, and the only way that we can get there is if you guys continue to vote. Also, we want you to tune in every Thursday. Next week, we have the amazing actress Shaquita James, known for her appearance in the new Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Y'all didn't know that, did y'all? The new Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, that is going to be released here in 2022. We have that actress, Shaquita James. She was in Raising Dion. Listen, the girl got the catalog. So listen, I want you guys to make sure you tune in next week. I want you guys to tune in after that. I want you guys to just continue to tune in and make sure that you follow us on all our social medias. Listen, there is sponsorship out here for you guys. Now you see where our show is going. I told y'all last week where it was going ahead of time. So if you want to become a sponsor, advertise your show. You can advertise your business. You can advertise your podcast. You can do whatever you please of advertising, as long as it's positive and clean. You can advertise on our show for a fee. All right. If you reach out to myself or Orion, we will have those numbers for you, and you can let us know if you want to advertise for a month. You can let us know if you want to advertise for 2 months. Just contact us for sponsorships and advertising. Remember, guys, there's no competition in sisterhood, and always, always, always be willing to fix your sister's crown. Have a good night.
Bye.